All right, so today we're going to talk about the fourth house in astrology. What does it mean on that fundamental level? Up to this point, we've talked about the first through the third houses. And so if you look at the journey analogy, it gives you a pretty good idea of what the fourth house symbolizes. So we had the first house, which is we became aware of self and our own personal goals. The second house of our values. The third of communication and interpersonal relationships. And now the fourth house about our roots in life. This is a part of the journey where we really become aware of the importance of having emotional connections, connecting to our past, our roots, and maybe even establishing ourselves on that level. So that's basically what the fourth house signifies. You can see this also by the quadrant. It's in the bottom right quadrant. So this has to do with the very intrinsic, very personal and subjective experiences, i.e. emotions, which is a big foundation of it. Essentially any area of life that's associated with the emotional body, that's associated with our bodies quite literally, because our bodies are our roots. It's also the water retention in our bodies, that relationship there. Anything that has to do with caring and nurturing. And that's really where we start to see now the right side of the chart, which is about interpersonal relationships, right? So this is the beginning of that, where we start to really have that deeper emotional connection. We have that caring quality, and you can see that too. Where in life do we have that nurturing quality? Where do we have those emotional connections? So you can see that, but you can see any area of life that's associated with our roots, because again, the fourth house is the bottom of the chart, such as home, such as family, such as mother, anything that you would consider something or someone that you're emotionally or sentimentally connected to, you can see through that area of life. Now, do remember that the fourth house and all houses are the area of life. So we're talking specifically like family, but it doesn't necessarily have to be family in the status quo sense. It could be maybe your soul family or someone that you have that emotional connection with. Now, we were talking about the water retention and the root, and so a big part of this house is also health, because if you could imagine, our bodies are our temple, they're our most fundamental home, and this is really about establishing that relationship and that connection to our bodies. So health can be seen from the fourth house, and it's not so much health like the sixth house, which is more about the routine and the diet and things like that. This is more about the water retention, listening to what our body is saying and establishing that relationship kind of health. So a big part of that too with the fourth house. So another thing too is that it is an angular house. This is now the second of the angular houses, which are the four major quadrants of the chart. So very important house. Again, the angular houses are about foundations, and this is perhaps the most foundation of the foundations. In other words, when things are good with your personal life, with domestic life, with your home, with your family, then you're established, you have a good foundation in which the other areas of life can prosper much more healthfully. Just like we had the first house, which is understanding more about yourself and having that confidence. The fourth house is now about having that relationship with your family and your roots in your body, perhaps more fundamentally. So very important there in terms of it being angular and having that foundation, very important in the chart. You can also see the importance of balancing the fourth house, specifically with the 10th house. If there's too much energy in the fourth, then it's good to bring more attention to the 10th. And the 10th house is essentially, opposite this. It's about the future. It's about the public life, the career life, the work life, those things that do require balance with the personal life. So to balance out, maybe if there's too much energy into the fourth, it's really good to focus on career, focus on legacy. These kinds of things can help neutralize the fourth and 10th house axes. So that's pretty much what the fourth house is. You want to look at sign placements, especially the fourth house cusp. Will give you a very good idea of the qualities that are associated with that area of life. So for example, if it's Gemini, it'll give you a good idea of the qualities in maybe your home life or your family life. If it was Gemini, maybe it was very communicative. Maybe it had a lot to do with sharing ideas. Maybe you moved around a bit, because Gemini is mutable and it changes a lot. So you can see those qualities of those particular areas through that. You also want to look at other signs, not just the cusp, but how much portion do the other signs take up in that fourth house, and look at those attributes also. And not always, but sometimes we do have planets in the fourth house. So that's going to show you any experiences that are very important in your life associated with that. So for example, if you have your sun in the fourth house, this is someone who gains energy and has a lot of focus and awareness about home and family matters. And I think it's big interest for these kinds of individuals. So those are the two fundamentals, planet and sign placement, but you also want to look at the ruler to give you a multifaceted sort of view of that fourth house. I'll put a PDF down below for rulerships, but for example, if it's Gemini, you want to look at where Mercury's placed because Mercury rules Gemini. So house placement of Mercury, sign placement of Mercury, and also the significator too, which is the moon for everybody. The moon is associated with that fourth house. So where's the moon placed? House and sign can give you that multifaceted picture. All right, so I'll see you guys next time for fifth house. Take care.